let's start. So we are doing chapter 4 right now. We'll do chapter 5 in a bit, but which is Flourish and Blotz at Flourish and Blotz. So just to start off, what did you guys think of this chapter? Was there anything that really stuck out to you, or that jumped out to you, or any questions you had, or anything that you noticed? It's a lot of questions, but
Uh, Arthur trying to fight Lucius.
yeah, that jumped out to you the most.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually with you on that. Although it is still a bit shocking. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that struck me as strange. It didn't seem within the, I don't know if it didn't seem within the character of Arthur or anything like that, but that one kind of always
No, I
struck me
think
as
it adds
interesting.
depth to his character.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
Yeah.
I know what you mean about it being surprising, though. Like, I'm pretty sure that I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 times I read, like it was like the third time I was like, oh yeah, he does that. Like even the
Yeah.
third time I read was like, oh my gosh, I forgot that he tried to fight Lucius. That's crazy.
Yeah, literally getting in a physical fight with someone, like hands on. I actually love those moments in the movies where people punch another person rather than use magic. And this is one of those moments too where, like, there's something more gritty and tactile about punching a person rather than using your wand. I feel like in a weird way, Arthur wants to like savor all that. He wants to like fight him with his hands so he can savor that moment.
That's like an interesting theme because, well, the way you just put it kind of reminds me of when Harry wants to dig the grave himself
Yeah.
in 7. And he calls it like the proper way.
Mm.
And there's other times too where like there's a fist fight. It's like when emotions are really high. It's almost like maybe we're just going like, okay, we're gonna go back to like this very primal human thing. Take magic out of the equation.
Yeah, it's a very human moment for Arthur.
Yeah. Which is actually kind of fascinating because I don't know, that it's bizarre to me because I don't see Dumbledore doing that really ever. He like delights in magic so much, so he's like excited to use magic whenever he gets a chance. But other characters, it seems like they're a bit more. I don't know. I guess it just is a very like human nature. Dumbledore's maybe a little older, a little stranger, but yeah, it is very like human nature. You just want to like fight someone sometimes with your bare hands.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that was a shocker for me though, and I like that it happened in a bookstore. That was kind of great. It was so funny to me.
It's so funny to me.
Oop.
It's so funny to me.
Sorry, that was on me.
No, you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. Welcome. Glad you made it.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
Okay, so here's another question that I have, and it's like my biggest question for the chapter, and one we will discuss probably a few other times. But why did they hire Gilderoy Lockhart?
Dumbledore just wanted to show Harry what he could become if he lets his ego take.
Yeah, that's the most common theory, and that's kind of the one I uphold to. But still, that is absurd to waste a year of everyone's education just for a lesson for Harry.
I love Gilderoy.
What?
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's hilarious, but he's terrible.
I love him. I think if in the second year it's fine. If I was a fifth year student, it would have irritated me more.
If I was a 6th-year student, it'd be
or 6 or whatever. But like he can't be worse than average. But anyway, yeah. But I think he is hilarious, and I think I never really liked him that much. He was always funny to me, but like after listening to Stephen Fry's audiobook, he's just like he's actually my favorite character. Like the wrong chapter that I read, like I tried to choose like my favorite line, and I actually had like paragraphs and paragraphs of him talking. So I'm like, so funny.
Yeah, your line is just going to be reading all the lines, all the lines of Lockhart.
I don't know. I lean towards it being kind of almost desperation, or even just a bad joke from Dumbledore.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought it was a
Because he's so
desperation too.
absurd.
Yeah, he couldn't find another teacher. But he's just like, does Dumbledore
And
at
he
this?
just thought it would be funny. I
Yeah,
don't know.
seriously. That could kind of be a move that Dumbledore does. Because at this point, Dumbledore knows he's a fraud, right? Or does he?
Well, he
I don't
has
know.
to.
I feel like at least he has to, if nobody else does.
Yeah.
But I must say, this is actually a very dark book. So he brings a bit of a comical relief.
A bit of
in this
levity
book.
to the situation.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't know how this would have worked too, but I heard that Joe was flirting between saving the Chamber of Secrets for the 6th book and swapping those two, because the one, like, this book does kind of contain some memories, so she probably could have done that pretty seamlessly. But I don't know how that would have worked.
I think the 6th book, like the memories, are a bit darker.
Yeah.
So I think if you grow up with the book, I don't think, like, if you're 12 years for this book, is actually hectic as well. Like just hearing the voice and stuff like that, I think is. I was a bit older when I read it, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, like the blood on the wall, and even honestly, just even the spiders. Like, it's terrifying. Like the visual is. I can't.
Yeah.
I also think Dumbledore might have been using this opportunity to expose Gilderoy.
Yeah,
that's a good point too.
Yeah, because because students see through things. Like, it's
if
you're a bad substitute teacher, students are gonna catch on to that real quick.
But on the other hand of that, I mean, Hermione was like basically in love with him for most of the book. She had, and she's like supposed to be the smartest of the three.
She believed all the books that.
Yeah.
Also, like, I was thinking about that today because of some of the Harry Potter podcasts I've listened to, especially when it's a female podcast, they sort of criticize Hermione for being all like gushy about Lockhart, but I'm like, I get it, girl. Like, when you're that,
I feel like it's very age appropriate too.
Yeah.
No, it's just like a silly little crush, and when you're that age. Especially, I think for Hermione, that was just books. If it's like this charming guy, like, I think I sort of, I would have blamed her for not having a crush, kind of.
Yeah.
Because she's so like sort of.
It's like a 12 to 13-year-old girl having a crush on Johnny Depp. It's
but it's just like a crush. Like, it's it's not like it's like something silly crush, and I mean, like, I've had it. Like, I think every girl has had like a silly little crush, and I think this just made you relate to the nerdy Hermione even more, because obviously she didn't know how to deal with it as well. So
yeah, I get that. I feel like it definitely makes Hermione more of a realistic character. Because in the first book, she's, super smart and super annoying until they become friends. And then she values friendships. But, like, still, what's her, fatal flaw is that she's a normal 12-year-old girl who has crushes on, a really hot professor. Like any other 12-year-old girl would. So it's like, it makes her I just think it makes her more rounded off of a character. Like, we talk about this all the time, but one of my favorite parts of the series is like the kids just want to be kids, and she's so good at writing that. Like, she's so good at writing little parts in where Harry has the weight of the world on his shoulders, but he just wants to go play Quidditch, and like go on dates and like live a normal life. And you don't get that a lot with Hermione, to be honest. And I think this is one of those books that you get it a lot. Like, she's always in the library, she's always doing something, and this is one of those books where she just has like a massive crush on this teacher. And it makes her such a great character. So as far as like a literary device, I think Lockhart is one of the most brilliant in the entire book. Maybe like the whole series. I think he's great because it brings a lot out in Harry, like seeing what he would have been if he stayed in the Wizarding World. It brings a lot of like, Hermione and even like Molly Weasley, at least people having crushes on him. And then Dumbledore of like, he's trying to expose this guy. And then even later on with Ron, it's like a great literary device, but practically it still just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I'm like, if it's out of desperation, that's what makes the most sense to me. But I'm like, there had to have been someone else that Dumbledore could have scrounged together last minute other than Lockhart. If it's happening because Dumbledore wants to expose him, that's still a lot of waste for like the OWL students are probably furious at Dumbledore. They're like, I'm scoring terrible scores on my OWLs because I have this incompetent teacher who can't really like show me anything. And then it's the same thing. If he's just doing it for a lesson for Harry, that's like a waste of a year for every other student. It just seems excessive to me. And I've never like found, I mean, I think that he did it to kind of show Harry the lesson of what he would have become, but it still seems very excessive to me. I haven't found like a satisfactory answer for why he hired him.
Yeah, when has Dumbledore not been excessive?
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
But think that subject is cursed anyway. They never had a constant teacher.
Yeah.
As well. So I think every year is just like, let's just hope everyone passes that subject. I think if you're good at it, you're good.
Yeah, since they have a new teacher every year, they're just like, we're just gonna do the book.
Yeah, they're very, very disposable, expendable.
Sorry, just to bring it back to Hermione and her crush. I just have like in my head canon that this is where she and Ginny bonded, because Ginny has like this ridiculous crush on Harry, and then they were just like talking about it and crashing, and this is where they became friends.
I like that.
Yeah.
Gold talk.
Love that.
But did Hermione come and stay with them after this? I just forgot. At the Burrow? Did Hermione come and stay with them at the Burrow after this?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. Day.
Okay.
Isn't this the first time we meet Hermione's parents, or was that chapter 3?
No, I think this is the first time. Because they're dentists. They're just hanging out. I would have loved that experience. Like Hermione and her parents just wandering around it, and they're like fascinated with everything going on. Hermione's parents
In the upcoming series, I would like a little side thing where it's just Molly, Arthur, and Hermione's parents.
Yeah, seriously, I would love that.
Chit chat.
That'd be great. Yeah. Here's another random question for you guys. If Lockhart wasn't the teacher, because I'm trying to think through this now, who would have been another viable alternative? Like the easiest one is Lupin, but like he's the perfect person in book 3. Who could have been another teacher at this point? In
Molly
Weasley as Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. That would have been kind of great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that she's an empty nester.
Yeah.
Well,
seriously.
in school, yeah.
Got lots of time. That'd be kind of sweet.
Yeah, she's by herself all the time anyway.
But what would be the reason for her to leave after a year?
The garden gnomes got out of control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She just couldn't deal with them anymore. Her house, the Burrow, is overrun with garden gnomes.
Or on fire, like in book 6.
That's okay. It just gives her kids more stuff to do when they get back home. Kingsley.
Yeah, I think of like the people that we meet later. Like Tonks is a great example for me. But
yeah, Tonks would be a good one.
She was busy training.
Yeah, I think she was training at this point. I think she's probably just becoming an Auror at this point or something like that. Because I think when we meet her in book 5, she had been an Auror for 3 years, I think.
Okay, so she just became an Auror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kingsley would have been great.
Yeah, agreed. I'm actually
know his stuff.
Yeah, I'm shocked that he wasn't actually like in the teacher at one point. I think he would have been great.
You probably noticed the pattern. He's too smart to
yeah.
keep that job on.
Yeah, that's very, very true. It's like why do all these teachers either lose their job after a year or die? It's like I don't want to take my chances.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. Maybe Dumbledore believes in that curse, so that's why you chose Lockhart, because it's like, it's only 1 year.
Yeah.
This person's expendable. I don't want to waste one of my good people on.
Yeah, it's a second year for Harry. What is he really going to learn,
Why don't they just lean into it and say like it's only a 1-year contract?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna like let's just rotate teachers every year. Let's just choose that so that we're like minimizing maybe the risk of death.
I like when Moody actually says that in book 4. He's like, I'm here for 1 year. And Ron's like, what? You're only here for a year? He's like brokenhearted about that. But
well, Barty Crouch Jr.
Yeah, exactly. So that screwed him over.
I wonder if Moody could come back, like if the curse would catch it.
Yeah, the curse is really on Barty Crouch Jr. So Moody could have come back for their 5th year or 6th year. That would have been great. I actually would have loved that.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have had the ultimate villain.
Yeah, seriously. We'll get there in book 5. The greatest villain ever. Another point. Why doesn't Harry try to give the Weasleys a bit of money? We talk about this all the time in the podcast, and everyone has their answers. But this guy's got heaps of cash. Are the Weasleys really poor? Do you subscribe to Danny's theory that you actually don't think that they're really poor?
Can someone debrief me on that? I haven't heard. Is there any more to it than that, or he's just like, no, they're
he
not
just
really
thinks
poor.
he just thinks they're very, very good financially. Like none of the kids really. I mean, they wear not the nicest clothes or anything like that. He just thinks they're very good budgeters, and he had a bunch of other.
No, they're like paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah,
they have enough to get by.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm sorry. I just was thinking of when they go into the vaults. Like Harry sees their vault at Gringotts, and he doesn't he note?
Yeah, there's like nothing there.
It's really empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like they go to bed hungry.
They don't go to bed hungry, or they do?
No, they don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
I think they're like poor, but they're not crazy poor, because Molly's still like feeding them significant amounts.
Poor kids in literature, I think about Charlie and a Chocolate Factory where they eat cabbage soup the whole time. I mean, that's poor.
Yeah, they're not that poor. They're like lower. They're like lower middle class where everybody's needs are met, but they can't afford like extras.
Yeah. I still kind of think it's shocking Harry never really even offered them that. And we get the dialogue in his head where he's like, oh, they would never accept it. But I just keep thinking, Harry, just give it a shot. Be like, hey, Weasleys, I'm staying with you guys for a month in the Burrow. Please let me pay for even just my own food. I'm gonna sneak some money in.
Yeah, I wish
but I honestly
he would
don't
have
think
given
Molly would
them
accept
the
it.
option to decline.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I think it would embarrass them. I think he knows that it would embarrass them.
Yeah, and Molly wouldn't have any of it.
Yeah, for sure. But there's still a common courtesy where you ask. I don't know if maybe it's just different in British culture. We need a Brit here. Because I feel like in American culture growing up, my parents always, anytime I went to a friend's house, they always gave me like $10 or something like that. They're like, you give this to the parents unless they completely refuse it 20 times. So before I left, I was always like, hey, here's $10 for your truffles, because I was like a hellraiser of a kid or something like that. If we went out for food, I was always like, oh, my parents give me money. And the people would always be like, oh no, it's okay, we're fine. But I had to offer that 10 times before I had to shut up. Maybe it's different in Great Britain or South Africa.
Well, I know it was different in
we sponge as far as we can.
Pete, I grew up in a very small town.
Mm-hmm.
People are very proud and don't want to appear like they can't have their child's friend over.
Yeah.
So it's I wasn't allowed to have sleepovers at some friends' houses because their parents just couldn't afford me to stay a night or two.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So I would invite them over to my place because we could.
And I mean, it makes sense that it would embarrass the Weasleys a little bit. So I don't know. I would just sneak money in places. like put it in Molly's like jumper jacket or something like that.
Well, that's why Harry
He
gave
gives
the
Ginny his
Triwizard
entire set
winnings.
of Lockhart books.
Yeah, it's true. And then he gives the winnings to the twins, so he does do it in certain ways, which are pretty good. So.
And he buys Ron stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
although he bought him, I love the part where he buys him the Omnioclers, and he's like, "I'm not buying you a Christmas present right now because of these." I'm like, "All right, that's like a little intense, but sure."
Well, because like Ron got mad about it.
Yeah.
Like Ron
He should have bought him a wand. I think it cost the same.
Yeah, he should have bought him a wand.
Brilliant. That would have been so good. Ron is out here spellotaping his wand, and
I get it, because like growing up, like my family was super poor, so like it felt like having it pointed out was almost worse.
Yeah.
And like it just kind of like you just operate as if they did have it. You just kind of like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I remember going and doing things with friends, and just if I didn't have the money for it, they just did it, and I just kind of like watched or whatever, because it was like, it was worse to have it pointed out to me that like I didn't have it and they did, or I just didn't go. So like I think that's probably like, because like Ron is so like Ron gets super upset about it like a lot.
Yeah.
And Harry never points it out. So I think like if Harry were to like offer and be like, yeah, like I see that it's really tough for you guys, like can I give you half my money? I think like, I don't know, I don't think it would be helpful.
Yeah.
I also don't think Harry really knows how much money he has, because this is only his second time interacting with wizard money. I don't think he understands the whole economics.
Yeah, that's very true.
How much is in his vault? And
well, like
he doesn't know where he'll be at after he finishes Hogwarts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a rudimentary understanding of money when you're 12 years old. Like, you know, when you're 12, like I ask my nephews who aren't 12 yet, but like I'll ask them like, how much money do you want to make when you're, you know, old? How much money do you think like I make a year? And they're like, like $1,000. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like their understanding of money and like economy is very lacking. So I'm sure that's the same with Harry. He probably looks in his vault, sees a lot of money, but he's like, it's the same. Like he grew up without anything. So he, you know, I'm sure he's.
Yeah. And it's very much, I want this for when I leave the Dursleys.
Yeah, for sure.
Make sure I'm okay.
That's true. Come to think of it, we don't even know how much he has.
Yeah.
He has a lot.
How?
I know, because Harry thinks it's a lot, but like it could be the same thing that you said. Like it might be that
because we're in Harry's mind.
$1,000 is a lot.
Yeah, we're in Harry's mind, so he looks at his vault and it's like heaps of gold, but it just is from Harry's mind, so it might not be that much.
Right,
I think it's a lot
to like get him through Hogwarts.
Yeah,
and then it's gone.
If you
so what if he gave them half of it and then he doesn't have enough?
How much does Hogwarts tuition cost? That's the real question.
I don't think there's tuition, but books.
Yeah. No. Endowment. The endowment is huge.
Yeah.
And well, Harry has ancestral wealth, so he has a lot of money.
Do we know where that comes from? Has she written anything
his great
about?
grandfather created the Slick Easy potion.
Oh, which did what?
Pretty much kept your hair in place.
Nice.
It smoothed Hermione's hair down.
Hair was
oh no way! That's what Hermione used for the ball. That's incredible. I love that.
Yeah, but Harry's great grandfather created that.
That's what I'm
and there was one other thing that they did too. One of his ancestors like did one other.
Yeah, there was like a cure for dragonpox or something, I think.
Yeah, that was it.
But I must say, like, everyone's always hard on Harry. I mean, like, he doesn't.
What'd you say, Celia?
Oh, I said everyone's always like hard on Harry because he doesn't have like parents to teach him to do this. Hermione also stays over the summers and Christmases sometimes. Does she offer money?
Yeah, that's true.
She's got parents.
She's got parents who are dentists, like, so yeah, she's probably.
No, that's what I said. Like, no, offer them money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very valid point. Yeah, I'm actually curious what the family fortune is now. And do we know what James and Lily were training to become? I would assume aurors,
Mhm.
but did they ever get into their professions?
It's been
I
years
feel
since
they
they've
went
been
just
good. I
straight
don't
into
think
the
they ever
war.
did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like after they graduated, they literally just went into hiding from that point.
Or
I
they
feel like
just
they were too
straight
young
into the order. Oh,
to really start.
because they were in the order a while
I think they were in
during
their
the war
20s when they
before
went
going
into
into
hiding.
hiding. Yeah.
How long between from when they graduated to when Harry was born? Because it was like basically right when around when Harry was born that the prophecy was made, and then that's when they needed to go into hiding, right?
3 to 4 years, or 4,
Yeah.
3 to 4 years.
Right. So during that time where they just their whole lives were dedicated to the order.
The Potter family's rich, and James is the only living relative, so they could just slide on the money that they already had.
The grandparents died of smallpox or of dragonpox, right?
Dragonpox, yeah.
How did Petunia's side grandparents die? Because they're not introduced at all. Do we know how they died?
There's probably something on like Pottermore about that. I'm not entirely sure.
So,
I always thought that was sad because they're described as like looking like they were enjoying what they were seeing when they were like taking Lily to the train the first year. So like they might have been like a better place for Harry to be if they had been alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any place would be a better place than the Dursleys, but
yeah.
Honestly, Petunia got rid of them because they favored Lily.
Yeah, I love that conspiracy theory. She's like going out there, getting rid of her parents. They're in like the bottom.
They're
of
still
the
in
ocean.
the basement.
Oh my gosh.
That's a whole
That's dark.
next level dark.
Yeah, you should write that fan fiction right there.
I promised myself I'm not gonna go dark this time.
You already have that attached to you, so. All right, here's another just a fun question. What is your favorite shop in Diagon Alley or Knoxford Alley if it's Borgin and Burke's? Because honestly, Borgin and Burke's would be kind of fun.
No thanks. I actually added an actually was looking for it now, and I think I made it up in my mind, but like I swear the first time I read it, and I don't know if there was maybe in the Afrikaans translation, maybe, but like I swear when Harry was in the cabinet, he said there was a line saying that he could hear voices. And then I was like, oh, that links it to book 6. But now I was looking for it and it's not here. So I don't know. Maybe they made it up in the Afrikaans translation. They just added their own little. Because I swear it happened in there. And I was looking for it and I'm like, am I misreading it? But it doesn't happen.
I don't remember that.
So, but I swear, like in my mind, that happened.
I think I could spend a week in Flourish and Blots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get trapped in Barnes and Noble, and that's not magical.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think Flourish and Blossom would be my favorite. Just to, like peruse around there. Look for the invisible book of invisibility, Oh, be great.
Scavenger hunt.
What was that?
Scavenger hunt.
Oh, seriously, I know. It'd be so fun.
In the illustrated book, there's like a illustration of, I think it's Diagon Alley. And then on the one shop, it says the 3 sheets. I want to know what's that about.
The 3 sheets?
Yeah, the shop's name is the 3 sheets.
Wait, isn't that what people like? And 3 sheets to the wind if you're like drunk.
No, I love that. It's like a pub. That's so great.
No wonder why I saw it.
That's a great name for a pub. Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
This place's name is the Toothmonger. That's also known.
The what? The
Toothmonger.
Oh, okay.
No.
Interesting. Yeah, I like Flourish and Blast. Flourish and Blast. I think, as much as dark as it is, Borgin and Burke's would be fun to kind of walk through, just to see everything that they have. Like we only see a few things that they have, but like there's some seriously powerful. It's dark, but there's some seriously powerful magical objects in there. So I would love to kind of walk around, just see like what Because I think again, one of my favorite parts is like magical objects. So I love, you know, the invisibility cloak or the Marauder's map or like any of those things. And that just seems chock full of them. Like the Hand of Glory is so fascinating to me. I'm so curious what other wizards and witches like dreamt of that is in that shop. I think it'd be so fascinating.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping Fantastic Beasts is going to be. Was just sort of like exploring the world and showing things like that. But no, it has to be a Dumbledore story.
I'm not upset about that, but so he played it.
I kind of am the way that they did it. But...
Yeah.
I feel like I'm an anomaly. I love those movies. I think they're so good.
Yeah. I'm an anomaly too. When I watched those with everyone, I had to defend them because I actually kind of really love them. I think Newt is one of my favorite characters in the entire series. I love him so much.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'll defend them to a point, but it's just it wasn't it was pitched as to something totally separate from what it became.
When we finish all the books, we'll go through that one.
Yeah.
It's good.
By the way, I was looking it up, and apparently Petunia and Lily's parents just died normal Muggle deaths. That's all it says.
Very suspicious. Petunia probably put that as the obituary. They died of ordinary means. Meanwhile, they're like, in a coffin in the basement, some Edgar Allan Poe stuff going on right there.
They're like suspicious pies.
Oh, that's gross. I would love Ollivanders too. I could not get enough of Ollivanders. I would be in that shop for hours. Like I love in the first book where Harry's wand is like a challenge for Ollivander, which shockingly I feel like should be the wand that's not a challenge. I'm like, why is Ollivander having such a difficult time with this? It should just be the opposite of Voldemort's. Yeah. The dual core. That just makes more sense. But I love that.
I think Ollivander was hoping it wasn't.
Yeah, maybe that's really what it was for. But then he's getting more excited as time goes on. So like he has genuine joy from trying to find like a fitting for a wand for someone. So I love that, and I would love to be like an apprentice under him, like learn the craft and like make wands for the rest of your life and try to fit people with wands. It's kind of a cool thing. Now I would love to know. I mean, this is like probably we'll get here in book 7, so a while. But if Ollivander ever kind of experimented with like making like the wand of destiny or like a wand that was far superior from all these other wands.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure it backfired at one point.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why he stopped.
Yeah. All right. What else? What else did you guys see in this chapter? Any other interesting notes? Any other like tidbits that you found that was maybe foreshadowing or anything?
I don't know if you guys talked about it before, but like just all the stuff in Borgin and Burke's that like points out like chapter or book 6.
Yeah.
Just like everything that Harry sees and that Draco sees specifically. It's like he literally has his whole plan for killing Dumbledore laid out in the second book.
With,
everything
like,
he sees in there.
Yeah, the cabinet's in there, the Hand of Glory's in there.
Necklace.
The necklace, like it's all in there. Like I was like, I'm using my book that I don't care about as much, so it was like literally numbering stuff and like writing in it. And then also just like that moment in there every time I read it when Malfoy pulls the one like yucky book out of Ginny's cauldron. I just like get goosebumps every time because he picked the dirty one, like the old one, because it had to match. Like he couldn't put like a dirty tattered old journal into like a brand new like book, or it would have looked suspicious. Like when he was like putting Riddle's diary in there, like it had to look like it went with that book, like it was just some forgotten journal that was left in that book. Or Ginny might have like been a little more suspicious.
Yeah,
that's one thing I think
they did really well in the movies. Also.
Yeah, I think they did good. Yeah, it was just subtle enough.
Yeah, so like it was like a double dig. He was like obviously digging at Arthur Weasley, like he picked up the gross one, like, look, this is all you can afford. But also he knew that putting the diary in with like one of the new Lockhart books wouldn't have made any sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It is astonishing. Like again, I am blown away by how much she had laid out before she even started writing. Like again, even in Borgin and Burks, when she goes and she mentions all these objects, they're like, it's like literally like a checklist. It's like everything that's there. You're just checking off in later books. And the same thing, like it's just good subtle writing. Like when she just throws in the things that, like, you know, of what Draco did, swap the books. It's really good writing. And this is the first time we meet Mr. Malfoy too, and he's the worst. I can't stand that guy. Who's I mean, maybe this is an obvious question, but who's your guys' least favorite character in the books? We always talk about favorite, but like, do you have a least
like
favorite?
aside from the obvious?
Yeah. Aside from the obvious, you can't say Voldemort. You can say Umbridge, but that's like, you know, typical. Everyone hates Umbridge. I think she's I think she's the best written, you know, villain, but she's probably not my least favorite character.
Yeah,
Lockhart.
Huh?
Lockhart really annoys me.
Yeah.
I think he's like, it really took, like, I like John Voss reading of him because I don't know, it's just everything's so extreme with Lockhart. At least it's so over the top. But John just has so much fun with it when he's reading it that it makes me like have fun with the character too.
Yeah.
But if I'm just reading it on my own, I'm just like, I'm just like
seething.
rolling my eyes.
Yeah.
Trelawney annoys me.
Yeah. He's like a different level of gross as well. Like I think a very underrated level of gross. Like I talk about Filch all the time and how I think he's pretty disgusting, and I think he should be in prison for some of the things that he's done. But I think Lockhart's kind of similar because of what he does at the end, where he takes advantage of students and he's gonna like literally wipe their memory and then leave them down in that thing for forever just to cover up his lie. That is so dark.
It's extreme.
That is so extreme. I know Cecilia's over here thinking that's my favorite character.
Not my favorite. I don't get the hate though.
Yeah.
Like he's not the worst. No.
Yeah. He's entertaining for sure.
He's entertaining. Like it's not in these chapters, but like the scene where he does the reenactment and Harry has to do it with the werewolves and then like in front of the class. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But
it also like lulls you into a sleep too. Again, it's a good written character because he's so over the top and it's so entertaining when you're reading this, and everyone knows like this guy's a fraud, and then all of a sudden something super dark comes out about him where he's literally going to different places, stealing people's stories, wiping their memories. I'm so curious too if when he like went insane, if there was any work to try to fix the memories of people that he wiped. Like I'm sure that's really almost impossible
you'd have to find
do.
out who they were first.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
I wonder if they.
So you couldn't know.
Yeah, I wonder if they had a hard time fixing his memory because they were trying to bring back memories from his books, but they weren't really his.
Yeah, seriously. That's why he had such a difficult time with it, because he actually had no real memory of that. That's fascinating, actually. I never thought of that.
Yeah, so I have other than the obvious characters for like the least favorites, I have a hard time picking one because even the worst characters are still interesting.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Brings them up quite a few points. Like,
I mean, mine's Pettigrew.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, Pettigrew.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I
don't think there's anything redeeming about him.
Except the hand that chokes him out.
Yeah, good riddance. It's so sad. Yeah. It's just so sad. Lily and James, it breaks my heart.
But again, it's interesting. It's interesting for him.
I dislike Pettigrew more than I dislike Bellatrix, and and that's hard.
Yeah, seriously.
What's it? What's his name? Fenrir. What's the werewolf?
Yeah, Fenrir Greyback. He's pretty gross.
Oh yeah, he's irredeemable.
Yeah.
Where does Umbridge stand with all those other people, though? I mean, is she like the worst? Because I mean, a lot of people have always said like she's the absolute worst. I hate her so much because as you're reading the book, you really want to. She makes you hate her so much. But having said that, having talked about the other characters that we don't like where does Umbridge stand amongst those other characters? You know.
Umbridge is high up there for me. I remember when the first time I read it, it was the most uncomfortable I've been reading. Like I couldn't wait till she was out, and like you knew it was coming, but it was just waiting. It was way too long, and I was just in agony. But I think she's the best written character, who I hate, but she's not my least favorite. I don't think. What do you guys think?
I think she is more hateable because she like pretends she's on the right. Like people like Bellatrix or Greyback, like they're just evil and they own it. But Umbridge is like trying to walk the line.
Yeah.
And that's what.
Yeah.
She thinks she's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's under the pretense of being good that she's doing the things that she does. And also, we spend a lot more time with her than we do with any of the other villains.
Yeah.
I think her self-righteousness is very grating on the nerves.
Oh my god, yeah.
I think she's also I think the person that we can actually see people in our lives or in normal life. Like you can actually find characters like that where Bellatrix and Fenrir are like the extreme. Like you can see there in literature where I think Umbridge, she some of her characteristics is like people in real life. So I think that's why people don't like her. Yeah. Or she's so evil.
I've had teachers similar to Umbridge.
That's shocking.
Evil. Yeah. Not as evil, but just strict by the book.
Yeah.
You can't do anything, sort of stuff, and so it's sort of,
McGonagall was strict.
But fair. McGonagall was strict but fair. So that's a pass. McGonagall reminds me of my high school English teacher.
And McGonagall's she's one of those people that's strict, but is looking out for you. She cares about the students. Reasons. Yeah. I always think about this.
Not trying to control you, but trying to put you down the right path, sort of thing.
I think about this with the Malfoys. Every time I read it, I actually have more and more sympathy for them. Like I hate them. I think they're terrible. But I don't know why. There's something admirable about them. Like they're just stuck in their pity. They're wallowing in they're not great, but the family unit that they have together is kind of cute. They really look out for each other. That is their and the fun thing in the rest of the series, that's what they are all about. You realize that the stuff with Voldemort becomes less and less because they want to keep their family unit together. That is what's their priority, and they're terrible. I hate them, but that part of their family is kind of admirable.
Well, I think you're imprinting Lucius onto the rest of the family.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I still think that's part of him too. I think maybe it wasn't initially. Maybe he was following Voldemort because he just got a lot of joy and glee out of it. But maybe Narcissa is really the one that's the voice of reason in the family. But still, the fact that he's I want to be very hesitant about saying this. He's not a bad husband. Maybe. I don't know. I feel maybe he listens to his wife enough to know okay, our family is the thing that needs to become the priority here, and not going and doing things with Voldemort. And you see that with him. He becomes less and less concerned about those things and really values his son's education, really values his son. He's a typical only child, very spoiled. But I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah. Maybe that's a stretch.
I agree with that.
Thanks, guys.
Well, they would be better off before Voldemort came back.
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah. But they're pretty insufferable. But
Yeah,
we know he's very interested in Draco because he certainly hears every single thing that Draco has to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they obviously
Yeah,
talk a lot.
Yeah.
Father will certainly hear about it.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is since they're a pure blood family, they end up siding with Voldemort because that's what would be best for the pure blood family to be siding with somebody to have pure blood superiority.
Yeah. And his family's like sending him care packages all the time. It's like, you know, they're looking out for Draco. Yeah. Very spoiled. He'd be insufferable in school. He'd be my least favorite kid. But
yeah, no, he's the rich kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like his parents don't not care about him.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't neglect him or anything.
Yeah. What else did you guys see in this chapter? Any last points before we hit the our favorite lines?
I thought it was interesting at the beginning of chapter 5 that it said Mrs. Weasley conjured up dinner, because we know that's not a thing, and I never caught that before until I reread it for this.
Yeah, we'll save that.
But maybe that's just like Harry's perspective. That's how he took it.
Yeah, she's such a good chef.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always read that as everything was ready. She just moved it to the table, essentially.
Let's let's hold on to that for the next chapter, because I actually would love to talk about like wizard cooking and how they actually do it, and if it's significantly different from Muggle cooking. I think that'd be a fun discussion. So hold that for a few minutes before we talk about that. Anything else in chapter 4 before we move on to chapter 5? Perfect. Good. All right.